I want to thank first the Foreign Minister and His Highness for their warm reception. Thank you for the great hospitality. And I am again here this year as well. So this shows the importance that we are putting into this gathering, we from Somalia, because this reflects the current reality in terms of political debate that we want to take part of. Let me start first, before I answer your question, by saying in terms of an interconnected world, Somalia may be best represents the easiest example. We are the gateway between Africa and Middle East. We're the only nation in the world that connects the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean. Our neighbors are Somalis to the side of Ethiopia, because you have 7 million Somalis in Ethiopia. Djibouti, they are most of them Somalians, and then you have 4 to 5 million Somalis maybe in Kenya. That places us in a strategic location. On top of that, people see Somalia as a war-torn nation, but in terms of a potentiality from resources on economic potentiality, on agriculture, on fisheries, on geographical location in terms of strategic location, on potential oil and gas and minerals and what have you, and our people who are now living globally, gives and puts Somalia in a strategic location in that aspect. Now, in order for us to maintain the progress we've made so far, we cannot do that unless we work with our neighbors, either they are in Ethiopia or in Kenya or in Djibouti, because our progress is interlinked with their progress. Now, how do we intend to carry that forward? Let's take, for example, the traditional relationship we've had with Ethiopia and the relationship we now have with Ethiopia. Our thinking is as follows. There are 7 million Somalis, originally Somalis, who live in Ethiopia, who are Somali Ethiopians. And if we don't have good relationship with Ethiopia, it actually in reality means not having good relationship with Somalis. Second, they represent the biggest market we have as a potential business partner in the future, being 100 million people. Three, the only way we can have border security is if we have a strong relationship with Ethiopia. Look at the case of Kenya. Our business is 100% interlinked with Kenya. Our economic growth, economic development, and sustainability in terms of security. Now, investing in Somalia means in reality investing in the region. Bringing about stability in Somalia means bringing about stability in the region. How do we prevent crises like the ones that we've had in Somalia for the past 20 or 30 years? It again comes back to the reality of how do we invest as global leaders. Somalia today stands in a position where we've made progress on political formation, on economic growth, on security. But the issue is that the world has been focusing on terrorism and how to fight terrorism in nations like Somalia. You cannot defeat terrorism through military means alone. You defeat them through investing in political processes, through creating jobs, through fighting corruption, through inclusive politics where women, youth, vulnerable groups are empowered, through putting systems where people's hope and aspirations are seen through systems that they can recognize. How does, therefore, the world we live in today reflect the current realities? And why are we seeing new alliances made that are being made? The first, I think, question we need to look into, how can we address the growing unilateralism and protectionism policies that are being formed globally? How do we address the question of competition that is becoming what is replacing cooperation? How do we again find a solution to the real reality of that? Is today's multilateral institutions either be in the UN Security Council, do they reflect the current world structure? Are they able to cater for the challenges we're facing? These are questions that we will need to answer. And how do we relate to organizations like the African Union that are becoming increasingly important, and how do we put emphasis into that? Finally, the biggest challenge that we see now from our end is that how do we change old narrative? People have this view, for example, of Somalia, of being a nation of piracy and terrorism, with leaders who are not able to lead their people. Things have changed, and our number one priority, therefore, is how do we make the world understand they shouldn't see Somalia for what it has been or what it is, but what it can be in the future, so that we can contribute to the world.
Thank you very much. Great. Wonderful. Thank you.